Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's 3 on Thursday. My name is Sue Sanders, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Lake Ozark, Missouri. Sometimes I say Eldon, Missouri. I live between the two towns. Today is April 21st, 2022, and I just want to remind you that we have 11 days until the new catalog launches. How excited are you? I am really excited. I can show you the cover of it, but I can't show you what's inside. That's still a surprise. I can tell you that there are a lot of returning products that we all fell in love with, whether it was in the January to June mini catalog or the annual catalog from 2021 to 2022. So I'm excited because so many of those stamp sets that I purchased last year are returning. They're not going to be returning as the bundle, but you can still get the dies and the stamps. So I will be able to create and share with you more ideas than I did last year with a lot of these stamp sets. So I am excited about that. I love the color of our cover this year, and I love this new stamp set that's going to be debuting. In fact, oh, I didn't order it yet. I will be ordering it soon. I want to remind everybody, sorry, I had to flip that around. Today, Stampin' Up! Is having a free shipping day. When you order $75 or more, then, and that is before tax, then you get free shipping, which is really awesome because shipping is gone up to $7.95 or 11% of your total retail. So that would be saving you anywhere from $7.95 to $12 or more. So that's exciting. If you do place an order today, please use this host code for me. That is one way that I am able to bring you freebies and things, is when I have a host code and you all order with that. When you have already placed your class order, then we get freebies and I can pass those on to you. That is good until 11:59 Mountain Time tonight. So just keep that in mind, that it is Mountain Time. All right. Another stamp that I would like to show you, and this is in the mini catalog that will be retiring the end of June, is the Gentle Waves. Now, if you like ocean scenes or water scenes and you have stamps that go with water, like the sailboats, the sailing home, or the Let's Set Sail, this stamp set is going to be a must for you guys because you can do water scenes with this. And there's a technique that you can use that is really cool to give it a two-tone blue effect. So I'm going to probably be doing a short video on how to use that stamp. It is one of the big stamps, so you'd want to use it on a Stamparatus, or I can show you another alternative on how to use that stamp. So let's get started today. I titled this video, or the description. Oh, I was just reminded that I have to say our winner from last week's cards, and these were those cards that we made last week. This one here was using some of the new paper, and then this is the fun pop-up card that opens up like this. And our winner this week for these three cards is Mary Ash out of Jeff City. So thank you very much, Mary, for commenting on the cards video last week. And we will have those cards for you at our next club meetup. All right, put those back in her bag for her. So let me show you a couple of cards, well, a whole bunch of cards that I made using this technique. Now, I seen this on a video, and it's been several months that this demonstrator posted it. Her name was Cindy Brumbaugh. I'm not sure where she's from, but she called it the stack, cut, and shuffle card technique, and she got the idea from another demonstrator. I'm calling it my stack, slice, and shuffle, so that it's the three S's. So it's stack, slice, and shuffle. So let me show you some of the cards that my assistant and I put together this morning. Very simple, using the same color paper combinations, just with different cardstock for our bases. But each one of them looks kind of different. So here is one set. And that was made with the, let me get the name of that paper pack for us. That was made with the Abstract Beauty paper. And because the paper is double-sided, you can use either or of the sides of paper. Here are 4 cards that I made last week using the same technique, and I used the pansy paper. And I really like those, so I made 2 of them into thank you cards and 2 of them into birthday cards. You can make these real simple, or you can dress them up with embellishments and ribbon and such like that. So that's another set. Then I made some Mother's Day cards, and I used the daffodil paper that we had in the celebration catalog. So those are Mother's Day cards. No, I'm not sending out that many, but Dorothy is in a swap or a card share with all of the Marine moms that she's gotten to know. So they have a Mother's Day card exchange where she will be sending out 25 Mother's Day cards. And there's 2 different ways that you can do this. Okay, so that way that I just showed you, you start off with a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of designer series paper. And I've just made this little template to show you how easy it is to make the cuts. You will make the first cut at 2 3/4, and then you will rotate your paper and cut it 3 inches, and then the long strip at 2 inches. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But then there's another way that you can do it where you would actually be using a layering mat. And this is what I came up with to show the layering mat. And this was done with the Sunshine and Rainbow paper that was a free gift. And I have not embellished the front of these. I haven't stamped any greetings because I don't know what kind of cards I'm going to use these for, but I have 4 cards made up. All I have to do is add a greeting to them, embellish a little bit, and I've got cards made then to send for birthdays or get well. And I will explain to you how we cut that paper. That one you would start with a 5 by 3 3/4 sheet of paper. You would cut it at 2 1/2, and then you would cut it at 2 3/4 this direction and 1 3/4 this direction. So it's very simple. These are kind of like a style of card that we did make in class, but not exactly. This way is much easier. You don't have to measure and cut each square or each rectangle. So let's get started, and I'm going to show you how to cut the paper, and then I'm going to make 4 cards. So we are using this template, which is the 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of designer series paper. All right, and I'm just going to lay that aside so that I can remember what my cuts are. I think the hardest part of this card is deciding which side of the designer series paper you want to use. So we have that design, and then we have the little dots with the big daffodils, and then we have the daffodils that are on, I believe this is the bumblebee. It might be crushed curry. It's crushed curry. Or we have the black with the white little plus signs on it, or we have the hearts, or we have that daffodil or that flower paper. So for the way I'm going to cut this, because we are going to use this, of course, because Dorothy does need 25 Mother's Day cards, we're going to make these into Mother's Day cards. So I'm going to cut them, and we are going to use this side of the paper. So I think that'll make it a really pretty card. We're going to turn this up so that our daffodils are facing up and not down. So you want to cut this all at one time. I'm going to lay it in my trimmer, and I'm going to lay it at the 2 3/4 mark. All right, and that's one reason why I really, really like the Stampin' Up! Trimmer, is because you do have a guide at the top that you can match up and push all those to the top. And I pre-cut all of these to the 4 by 5 1/4. And now we're going to just cut through all of that. And just to make sure that I've cut through all 4 layers, I did it twice. I'm going to now set these strips aside, keeping them in the order in which I cut them the first time. Now I'm going to take my paper, all 4 pieces stacked up, and I'm going to cut it at 3 inches. So simple. Okay, and I'm going to leave those lined up. So I have, this is what I'm going to have. But now this strip over here, you could do it 2 ways, ladies. You could leave this as a long strip, but for my slice it, my stack it, slice it, and shuffle, I need to cut this at 2 inches. So I'm going to cut this piece at 2 inches, all 4 pieces at the same time, and that leaves us with this. Okay, we are done with our trimmer. Here comes the fun part. This is when you're going to decide if you really liked what you picked out for your papers, okay? Experiment with old DSP paper, maybe some that's not your favorite. You're going to start with the upper right-hand corner stack, and you are going to shuffle the first piece to the back. Then you're going to take the lower right-hand side, and you're going to shuffle it twice. So there's 1, 2. Then you're going to take the lower left side, and you're going to shuffle it 3 times. There's 1, 2, and 3. So this is the way the first card base will look. So we'll set those aside so that you kind of get an idea of what they will look like. And remember, this is going to go directly on a piece of cardstock that measures 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So that's going to be card number 1. This will be card number 2. That's card number 2. And am I still in screen? A little bit. Okay, let's move those over just a little bit. This will be card number 3. And then card number 4 will be, where's my other piece? I'm missing a piece. Where did it go? There it is. Can't see for. All right, let me see if I can move these all up. Can you see it now? Just the top 2. Just the top 2? Okay. We're going to flip it this way, maybe, and it will show. Yeah. Okay. And depending on the direction of your design, you could flip it horizontally or, hi, Cherie, I'm glad you made it. Did you get some paper that you wanted to cut? I'll explain again at the end how we're going to cut it so that you can do it with me. You can make it either a portrait or a landscape card, okay? So those are what our cards, and that was just to show you how to cut the paper. Now we're going to get into making the cards, and I've already got them all laid out. You will also see how simple and fast these cards go together. You could put tons of these cards. Okay, not tons. But you could probably put together 12 cards in a matter of a few minutes. Okay? All right, so maybe 30 minutes. Okay, so I'm not very good at telling time. What can I say? So I am using that Abstract Beauty paper. that I showed you what our cards my example cards. So here is our white inside pieces. And then we have our outside pieces. That goes on the inside. Here is our big piece that's going to be laid there. And then we have this piece that will be there. This piece. And this piece. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this one put together. And once I get them all put together, then I'll do my stamping, because that way I've only got the ink out one time. Okay, all right, let me see if I can do this without, I don't want to start with that one. I don't know why I always start with that. I always like to start with the upper left-hand corner, because then that way it gives me a good base for my lineups. Your internet keeps freezing me. Oh, I'm sorry, Cherie. Maybe it will stop. If not, go back and watch the replay, and maybe it won't freeze up on you. So here is, I want to make sure I'm turning this the right direction. So there I'm going to place it down, and I'm going to leave just that 1/8 inch border. And then I'm going to do this piece. Don't forget to make a comment on the cards today so that you can be entered in the drawing to win these. And you get a bonus card today. You get 4 instead of 3. Okay. Then we've got this piece that's going to go down here. And I don't know about all of you that have registered for my Colors of Friendship class in May. I am really excited about it. I've been working on cutting the kits. So there is one card. We're going to set that aside until we get to the middle. Our second card, we're also using the Balmy Blue card base. And I always like to dry fit my papers so that I know they will fit where I need them to. Just to make sure that I've got it all laid out correctly, because sometimes you get squares that are not square and you've got just a tad bit left on one side, or one side is a little bit longer than the other side. So this is the way this card's going to be laid out. So of course we're going to start with our upper left. And this is also a neat card that you could make the backgrounds, the card bases the same color if you chose to. So you would get 4 cards out of 2 sheets of cardstock. Move those out of the way so that I don't get them. Boy, I'm glad I did that, or I'd have had this card upside down. And we got it. You just got to remember that you're not going to have a great big side border, top or bottom or the sides. And like I said, you could use any old designer series paper, new designer series paper. And what I like about this is that even though they were made with the same paper, laid out in the same way, they don't look the same. That one got a little crooked for me. Let's get that lifted up and get it laid back down. And this piece here, oops, I just messed up. I did. Let me get that, stick them off of there. Good thing I realized that before I went too far, because I didn't want this side showing. it would have been all right, but that would have not been my intent. I think we're going to put the gold kind of going off the side there. And that piece will go right there. I guess that's what I really like about Stampin' Up! Products is the designer series paper, when it's double-sided like this, they really coordinate well together, but it also matches our ink and our cardstock. So if you wanted to get really fancy, you could emboss in gold. You could use some of our really pretty designer series paper to make wedding cards or anniversary cards. Okay, so we've got that card. I lost an inside piece. No, it's laying there. Okay, so those two are the ones that we made using the Balmy Blue. Now I have two more that we're going to be using the Just Jade, which, by the way, Just Jade is being discontinued. It was one of our in colors for 2020 to 2022. I love Just Jade. It's a beautiful green color. But alas, all good things must come to an end. So Just Jade will be going away, along with Misty Moonlight, Magenta Madness, Cinnamon Cider, and Bumblebee. See, I almost did that again. Flip that over. I wanted to showcase the gold flecks in this paper. And then this one will go here. So start with our upper left. So we'll lay this one down. I want to make sure, yep, my card is opening in the right direction. This one, I can't make any of these landscape because of the way the flowers are on this particular piece here. Well, I guess I could, but one of them I looked at it and it just didn't look like it would work very well. Maybe this one would. I think it depends on, or maybe it was the daffodils that I cut that I thought, oh, that wouldn't work as a landscape. So I can't believe the weather today is so pretty. Makes me very happy. That one I got just a little bit off. Let's see if I can get that picked up and straightened out. Now I have a surprise for everybody that's coming to the May 14th all-day stamp thing. Stamp day, I should say, not stamp thing. Is one of my stampers is going to be showcasing a technique for us. So that's going to be fun. I can't wait for that. So come prepared to learn a new thing. Hopefully it'll be new to you. Sometimes when that paper really blends in, that still is not straight. Let's get it pulled up now that I've got the bottom one done. Hopefully we can get it pulled up. I think I've become a real pro at lifting up that Stampin' Seal Plus, because I don't do things straight all the time. Even though it looks straight when I start it, it's not. There we go. That's better. And we have our last piece. Am I out of focus? I'm trying to stay within the camera here. See how fast these go together? Okay, so that one's done with its little greeting part and its white inside. So this is the piece that's going to go up here now. Flip the card over. This is the piece that's going to go down here, here, and here. So, all looks good. Here's my silicone mat that I'm doing my adhesive on. I like this mat because it doesn't allow the stamp and seal or glue or hot glue to stick to it. You can just rub it right off, and that makes it really nice to use, especially when you're gluing.
Hello.
Okay.
This is Sue.
Okay. So we're almost done putting the 4 cards together, and then we're going to embellish them. And like I said, you can embellish them however you choose. You can go simple, or you can go really tricked out. Doesn't seem like it's got as much, but I think it's because this has green in it. Okay, so now let's get our stamps out and do our stamping. And I decided that for my 2 that are on the balmy blue, we are going to make those birthday cards. And I'm going to use sentiments out of In Your Words. This was a celebration item, but you can use any oh yes, greetings that you have. Okay, you can decide on whatever greetings that you want. Nope, we are not. Yes, because I'm using balmy blue. Get that out of my way. So I took some scrap white and some scrap balmy blue, and I used the Pick-a-Tag punch, and I punched out my scraps of paper. Here's my balmy blue, and because I'm stamping on with a red rubber, I don't necessarily need to have my stamp and pierce mat, so we'll stand up so that I can get a good view of stamping this. And you want to make sure that your stamp has got enough ink on it, but you don't want to squish it in your ink pads, okay? I'm going to center this the best that I can. So there's our happy birthday once. And here is our happy birthday twice. Okay, we'll set that aside, and while we have our ink out, let's go ahead and do our inside pieces. And then we can cover that ink up. And I chose the stamp Be Who You Were Born to Be, because I think that's kind of a cool stamp. It can be used for an adult birthday or a teenager's birthday. Okay, I'm just checking this out to make sure that my stamp is going to give me a straight image, and it's not, so let me readjust it.
Surprise.
I think this is my most difficult thing, is when my stamps don't, I think they're lined up to be straight, but they're really not. And I think sometimes it's not really me, it's the stamp. So no matter how hard I try to line up, sometimes it just doesn't work for me. Or they stick to me, and then I still have to adjust them. Be who you were born to be. Each and every one of us are so unique in our own way. And I like that because God made us all individuals. Oh yes, much better. Now we can stamp our inside. Making sure that my inside piece is straight. Hi Karen, how was your vacation down in sunny Florida? We have nice weather today. I hope we continue to have nice weather. My yard needs to be cut so bad. I like mowing grass. It gives me a chance and an opportunity to get outside. Yes, Cherie, they do have some nice greetings. And there's some really nice greetings coming up in the new catalog too that I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised with. So there is our stamping with our balmy blue. So we can close that up. I'm going to clean off those stamps real quick off camera. Kind of embarrassed to show you my chamois because it is so dirty, but it is so well loved. I love my chamois. All right, those we're done with. Now for our other cards, I'm making those the thank you cards, and I am using the Massive Thanks cling set. This is also retired, but I like these sayings, and so I was like, oops, I just knocked my camera, ladies. I don't normally do retired stamp sets, but the greetings, I don't know, I just really like these greetings. So here is our little flag that says thank you. And I know some of you have a hard time stamping and not cutting the die then right away. I like to cut my die or my punch layer, and then I can center my greeting a little bit better. So here is thank you. And it's got that little flower. Here's my other one here. So have you been to the ocean, Karen? Here is our second one for our thank you. Get that lined up and stamp. Not bad, Sue, not bad. Okay, now on the inside of these, it has a matching stamp that has that little asterisk, and it says message on the cover may appear smaller than actual gratitude. Sometimes thank you cards, you just don't know what to say in them. So sometimes I like to just find a greeting that is generic and I can use it for anything. So message on the cover may appear smaller than actual gratitude. Surf fishing. I have never heard of surf fishing, but that sounds like fun. I'm assuming that that's when you throw your fishing line out into the surf and then reel it back in and hope a fish gets caught. And it's windy. Yes, today is not so windy here, thank goodness. I was finally able to get my son-in-law to burn our burnable trash. It was overflowing. Okay, so now we've got our stamping all done. And I can put away those ink pads and we don't make a mess. I'll clean off the excess ink. And I did stamp in Just Jade and Balmy Blue that kind of matched our outside card bases. So now let me get all this stuff situated so that I can put them all together. I'm seeing, there it is. Okay, and then here are the insides. Let's go with one of those. Inside, inside. Okay, I just took the scrap that I had and I'm going to use it on the inside. You have caught nothing. Well, Karen, you know, we can't always catch the fish. I hope you weren't planning on using that for dinner tonight. Make, oh yes, Butch, take you out to dinner if you can't catch anything for dinner. Okay, so now let's go ahead and adhere our outside greeting to our little flags. I want to move this paper so that I can do it on my silicone mat. Get it up here in camera view. So ladies, I'm only like, I don't know, 3 or 4 likes away on my Facebook page of being able to see who likes it, which is something that they do with the analyticals. I don't understand all of it, but if you know of anybody that is interested in, and that is not centered, let me center that up, interested in making greeting cards or even having ideas for scrapbooking, share my page with them. Give me a thumbs up, give me hearts. I love that, and so does Facebook. But I do need like 3 more people to click the like button so that in their analyticals, I can start seeing who likes my page, and it's not just a not sure who likes my page. Because I always like to recognize those that have come and visited my page or my blog. And I am really, really working hard at trying to become more consistent with my blog. Although sometimes it's difficult because of all the doctor's appointments and stuff that I have with my mom. But I think we may have her blood issues figured out. So she'll be taking some medication for that. Now on this one, I just wanted the top and bottom to have the extra little border, so my little flag ends match the green ones. Whoops. Stick that down in there. Center this out. Okay. Now let's go ahead and attach our inside greeting, or yeah, our inside greetings to our card bases. I don't know what my time is, how long I'm, okay, so in 30 minutes, but you have to remember I've been talking and I haven't been making the cards for the whole time. We did go over the measurements and things beforehand, so that makes a difference because these are not difficult. Once you have all of your supplies done, they're easy and fast to put together. You could even have all your stamping done and then just stick them on there and you're done. And like I said, this is a great way to make up a bunch of cards using different designer series paper that we all have stashed and that we don't want to get rid of because it's too pretty. But what we have to understand, ladies, is that the pretty paper will always be here. And you can always buy more when you run out. Unless, of course, it's going out for retirement. But that's why we have the retirement list come out in mid-April so that you know what's going to be going away. And if you really like a certain paper, order yourself another pack of it. I give you permission. Okay, not like many people need my permission, but I do give you permission to buy more than one pack. this time for our pre-order, we were not able to order all of the new designer series paper. I don't understand why, but we weren't. So I'm waiting until I am able to order all of my designer series paper. We're going to lay this down, and then I'm going to pull that bottom strip up because I got it off just a tad bit. And I know while that doesn't bother some people, it bothers me. And I know that these are homemade cards, but I do like to make them as perfect as I can. I'm not really in competition with Hallmark, although I sell my cards cheaper than Hallmark does. And I think they're prettier than Hallmark's. So there's card number 2. Now we'll go on to our thank you one. And like I said, so many of the cards that or the stamp sets and bundles that I purchased last year, I only got to demonstrate like one, maybe twice. And that just really hurt me because I thought, oh man, these are such pretty stamp sets. But I had ordered so many that you can only just do so many card demonstrations. And then, let's see, this one gets this piece. And I really do like using your scraps up because you don't really have any waste. This paper came out as 4x6, so you didn't really have a whole lot of waste, and you could use up all those little strips to decorate the inside of your cards. So last one to place the inside greeting to. Boy, I really got off on that one. Just roll that over. So we are almost finished with this part of the card. I'm going to put a few embellishments on here, but I'm not putting bows or ribbon on it. Putting ribbon on it will dress it up, but it will also cost us extra money to mail them, and we don't always want to do that. So that's the inside of that one. Now let's go ahead and put our greetings on the front, and we are going to use dimensionals for that. I have noticed that sometimes with the dimensionals, if I use another piece of cardstock over the top of my card and I just put like Happy Mail or something like that on it, the recipient will still see that piece, but it's just to keep the dimensionals kind of even with the rest of the card. So it may not cost you a lot. Okay, and I always like to even out my dimensionals, and because this is kind of a long and skinny one, I wanted to use enough on the ends so that it doesn't flatten out. Okay, so this one here, I'm going to put thank you right up here, kind of in line at the top. And I guess I could go ahead and just put dimensionals on all of these at one time and then stick them down on our cards. This is my Take Your Pick tool. I love this tool. I don't know how many of you have this, but it is one of the best tools that I have in my studio. It acts as a third hand for me sometimes. I can hold things down, and I could be using big dimensionals. However, I'm not opening any more big dimensionals until I use up all the little pieces that I have, the side pieces, and I didn't feel like cutting side pieces today, so mini dimensionals it is. Oops, that one I just grab the top off of, and it's stuck. Oops, one more that we got to put the dimensionals on, and then we can start putting them down. So this is kind of a way that you can assembly line these if you do all of one thing at a time. And then you can just put all of the elements on at one time. Most of you know that I don't make multiple cards of the same stamp sets. I like to make one-of-a-kind cards. They might have the same layout, but they will be different in some way. Now we're going to put our happy birthday in the center there. This happy birthday. So not only can you use your take your pick tool to pick up little sequins and such, you can use the tip of it to pick off those little white backings from your dimensionals. One more, and then we are going to embellish these with some sequins just to give it a little bit of pizzazz. I think the gold paper really stands out, but some of it doesn't have as much gold on it as others, so we're going to bling it out, as my assistant says, and I have a stubborn sticky cover. It would help if I wasn't trying to take off the come on, there you go. And this one we're going to place up here like so. All right, so now we have all 4 cards done. We're going to embellish them now. And I am using the Artistry Blooms adhesive back sequins. I believe these are retiring. I can't be 100% positive, but they match the colors in my cards today, so that's why I'm using them. So I am going to use some of these blue ones on our Balmy Blue. Stick those out of the way, card out of the way. And I do like to do things in groups of 3. It kind of focuses your eye into one direction. So I am going to put a big sequin up here in some white area. And I'm going to put another big sequin down here. And then I think I will put a small sequin, and I'm going to put it inside of that flower where the gold is. And this one here, we're going to put a big one up here in a gold flower, kind of making it the center. And this one here, we're going to put down here. And then we're going to take a small one and put it over here. So there is our bling on our blue cards. Now on our Just Jade, I believe I'm going to use the pink to kind of bring out the pink that's in this card. And these are kind of iridescent, so they kind of pick up the color that they're stuck down to.
Kind of match your fingernails.
Yes, it does kind of match my fingernails. Do y'all like my fingernails? And we're going to put this one down here. And this one we're going to put up here. Okay. So that blings up that one. Now, where's my 4th card? There it is. Okay. Another big one. We're going to put it up here in that white space. And we're going to put a small one down here in the center of that flower. And we're going to bring in another big one. There we go. And we're going to put it over here, kind of where that black and white mixes together. All right, so ladies, there are our 4 cards for the day. Okay, and even though they were using the same paper, they all have a different look to them. And let's face it, we are not going to send the same card to the same person. So you're not going to have to worry about, well, did I send the same card to them? No, because you know what? You could send one of these cards and one of these cards, and they still look totally different. So those are the 4 cards today. Remember, make a comment on the cards, and then your name will go in the drawing for next week's drawing for those 4 cards, because you get a bonus one this week. And I just want to show you another card that I made. I was just playing around this last weekend, and this is using the Let's Set Sail and the sunny something paper that I had forgotten to show you last week when I debuted the new paper packs that I had gotten. Let me look that paper up real quick so that I can tell you what the name of it is. It is very pretty paper. It has, both sides are very, very pretty. It is called Sun Prints. So on one side of this, it's like a splotchy color, like a paint splotch, and then it has the stripes. So I really liked the stripes for this card. I made it into a masculine birthday card. I also used the oceanfront stamp set. So I did inked my stamp with Daffodil Delight, and then I took a sponge dauber and I used Calypso Coral to make it look a little bit orange. And this is where I used that wave punch, or that wave stamp. And I'm going to show you how I did that real quick. But this is the little sailboat, and it has the punch that matches it. And then you can buy these little woggle things that make some of your things stand up and wobble. And you can buy those at probably offline. I got mine in a store down in Branson. So I have small ones and big ones, but I just thought that added a lot of dimension. It will still lay flat in my envelope and not be a problem. So I really like this card. Let me demonstrate to you real quick. I'm going to use a piece of just plain copy paper. Pull that out. And I'm going to get my oceanfront stamp. I think this is called kissing technique, but some people have called it something else. But what I'm calling it is the kissing technique. I'll have to look it up for sure and see. But I'm going to use Pool Party and Night of Navy. Okay, and because this is such a big stamp, I am going to put my paper to the stamp instead of the stamp to the paper. Okay, because this is what the stamp looks like. And now I can't control this big a stamp whenever I'm working with it. So that's why I'm going to leave it flat on my table, and I'm going to take my Pool Party and I'm going to ink up my water that they have in the oceanfront. And this is light, so Pool Party is my light color. And now I'm going to take my Night of Navy. Am I in screen with this, or do I need to move it up? Let me move it up. And I know that I don't need this whole thing inked. I just need it inked kind of here in the center. So I'm going to just walk my stamp across, making sure that I'm not leaving a whole bunch of lines, because we don't want those. So that looks pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kiss these 2 stamps together by laying this one that I did in Pool Party on top of the Night of Navy. So I don't know if you can see it or not on camera, but you can see strokes of that navy. And now we're going to take, and to make this a better image, I better use my Stampin' Purist mat. So now I'm going to stamp that down. And make sure that you walk your hand all around that stamp. Okay, so can you see how that makes a real pretty background for your water? And you can see the difference in the pool party and the Night of Navy. So that's really easy. So that's why, ladies, if you like to do water stamps with the oceans and things like that, the wave stamp is going to be, or the gentle waves is what it's called, it would be a must for you to have. Because it is easy to make your water look different. Okay, you want to make sure that you always clean it off, even before you do another kiss technique. Probably should have taken a piece of scrap paper and I'm going to clean this one off real good. But I want to show you what it would look like. How's my time?
56.
Okay, I can do this. Oh, look at how blue I am. All over me blue. It's a good thing it comes off. I'm going to show you what it looks like just using the Night of Navy. You could use Pacific Point even, and Pacific Point is not quite as dark as the Night of Navy, even Bermuda Bay. And I'm going to lay my paper right over that stamp, and then I'm just going to rub my hands over that stamp to make sure that I get a good coverage. So that's how it would look, and I didn't get down here at the bottom, which is fine with me, simply because I wouldn't use that part anyway. But this is just using one color of ink, so you can kind of tell the difference. Okay, ladies, I enjoyed having you visit me today. Cherie, if you want to hang on just a minute, let me grab some more designer series paper. Let me clean this up. Karen, you too, because you may have missed the beginning where I cut the paper. And let me show you how easy it is to cut the designer series paper and get some of this blue ink off of me, because I am full of blue.
Killed a Smurf.
I know. My assistant tells me that I killed a Smurf. Poor Smurf. All right. Let's see. I want to use some designer series paper that I haven't used as an example. So that one we will clean up later. Let me stick these gems away real quick. Get a little bit of this stuff cleaned up so that I have room to cut with. And it's always kind of an experiment when you're cutting designer series paper, when you don't know how the pieces are going to look together. But let's try some Merry Marvelous. Okay, so this was a free gift with Celebration. Let me get that out of the way. These are our cards. I don't want to get ink on them. So this was in our Celebration that you could earn free, and we have a green color, blue, we have gray, yellow, we have a purple. Okay, so now I need you all to tell me what 4 colors you would like to use for this card. And then you may possibly win this paper already cut out to make 4 cards. So who would like to use, and we're going to use both sides, okay? So don't let the design deter you from the paper, okay? So we have our pink, and I'm going to pull out what colors these actually are so that I know. We have balmy blue, basic gray, Blushing Bride. Well, then I need Blushing Bride, basic gray. We must have one more color in here. Calypso Coral. No, that is not Calypso Coral. I guess it just goes with Calypso Coral. Flirty Flamingo, Gorgeous Grape, Highland Heather, Misty Moonlight, Pool Party, and Smoky Slate, and so Saffron. So these are our 6 colors. Okay. I think, me personally, I would like to have the Smoky Slate because it's a neutral color, so it's not going to be a big wow. Okay. So give us a comment if you think we ought to use, okay, Cherie, you think gray, blue, purple, and yellow. So gray, blue, purple, and yellow. Okay. Karen, what do you think? We heard what Cherie's is. So Karen, you're the other one that's on live today. What 4 colors do you think we ought to use? I'll give you just a minute to make up your mind. And then we're going to cut this paper and see how it's going to look on a card front. Okay. All right. I wonder if Karen has left us. She might have. Okay, Cherie, we're going to use these 4 colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by cutting these at the regular 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, and it's not going to matter because both sides are going to be used. So I'm just going to cut 5 1/4. I'm going to keep my scrap pieces by 4 because these were 6 by 6 sheets. Oops, I need to get back up in camera for you, kiddo. Sorry about that, Cherie. All right, 5 1/4 by 4 is the size that we're going to start with. And I did like this paper. I know that some people didn't really like it very much because the print was so bold, but there's certain things that you can use this paper for that it makes it really look pretty, that you can just let the paper be your focal point. And now our purple. So one more cut. And then, Cherie, I can tell you how we're going to cut these 4 pieces of designer series paper to make that card. All right, these are our scraps, but we're not going to throw them away because we can still use them. So now we have our 4 pieces of paper. Now the decision is, do we want to do every other one with the swirl on this side or the marble? I think if we did the swirl, if we did marble, swirl, marble, swirl. What do you think, Cherie? Yeah, it's a pattern. As one of my little girls in American Heritage Girls would say, that's a pattern. Yes, it is a pattern. Okay, we're going to try this because we can always flip it over because it is double-sided. So the first cut that we're going to make, Cherie, because these are cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4, we are going to cut it all 4 of them at the same time at 2 3/4. So we're going to line it up on our trimmer and we're going to slice it up at 2 3/4. Oops. And we are going to line that back up and we're going to run our blade back down because I didn't get it quite cut through all the way. But we're going to put those back in the same order that we had them, and we're going to set that aside. Now, our 2 3/4 piece, we're going to rotate it, and we're going to cut it at 3 inches. Always remember to rub your blade twice just to make sure that you've got all 4 pieces cut. Now, this one little piece that's the long piece, we're going to rotate it, and we're going to cut it off at 2 inches. Okay, and the cool thing about using a pattern paper like this is there really isn't a true pattern. It doesn't go one direction. So you don't have to worry about that directional paper. Okay, so we're going to line them up
2 inches.
at 2 inches, not 2.5, Sue. 2 inches. Slice all the way through. All right, so now we have our stacked and our slice. And now comes the fun part, because we're going to shuffle these. Okay, so that's what you should have once you cut your 4 pieces. Then you're going to start with the upper right-hand corner. You're going to pick up that stack and you're going to shuffle that top piece to the back. Then you're going to pick up the bottom right and you're going to shuffle the top piece and the second piece to the back. Then you're going to go to the left-hand lower side and you're going to shuffle it 3 times. There's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I don't have any cardstock cut for this, but you can get the idea of what it's going to look like. So we're going to have that piece, this piece, there, and there. So then basically what we have is a marble swirl, marble swirl. So that's going to be our number 1 card. Then our number 2 card is going to have the gray and the blue. So then you're going to have the 2 marbles in the corners, just like that. So this is a really fun layout. I like this layout. It's fast, it's easy, and you can put together cards that you can, I don't know, embellish more on some and less on others. Make them really simple. I mean, how many times do we need masculine cards and we can't find anything that would suit us? So that would be the card layout for number 3. You wouldn't have put these together. Do you like it, Cherie? In this type of layout or not? Tell me honestly, because I don't know. I didn't experiment with this paper beforehand. I experimented with the sunshine and rainbows. Good. I'm glad, because you get to have all 4 of these card fronts that all you have to do is add some card bases to, and then your sentiments. So yeah, it's really kind of a cool way to use up that designer series paper, especially if you've got the paper share packs that were cut at 6x6 or the 5.5 or the 5 1/4 by 4. Those are already cut at the 5 1/4 by 4. So all you'd have to do is make your 3 cuts and you've got card fronts ready to go. So anyway, I hope that you like this, and I hope that you all like the cards today. I'm going to sign off. Don't forget, like my Facebook page if you haven't already. And Cherie, I will put these in an envelope for you. Well, now you have 4 cards that you can make, and then you can see about mixing and matching. Because what is really kind of cool about the DSP is if you didn't want them to all be the same, look at what the difference would be if you did it opposite. See, it gives it a whole different look. And you can do that with just about any of the DSP paper. So to me, it's kind of a cool set. And you could move your small piece down to the bottom like that. You can make it vertical or you can make it horizontal. So there's many different ways that you can use this layout cutting your paper. So until next week, I hope you enjoyed this. Remember, ladies, to always do what you love and love what you do. And I really love teaching you new techniques and paper crafting. Till next week, have a good one. Bye.